Hey, shareholders, it's Adam O'Brien here, the founder and CEO of Bitcoin Well. Excited to announce our Q1 2023 results. Thank you so much for your support. Over the last couple of years of being public, it's been amazing, and really excited to showcase kind of what we've been up to for the last quarter, and share with you some of the results in there. I've brought Julian from Kinetic Finance to ask some questions. So first off, I'll read some of the highlights from the quarter, and then Julian, I'll get you to take it away with some questions. So this is directly from the press release that you saw this morning. Our gross profit of 1.1 million over the same quarter last year was 1 million. This is a gross margin. Our gross margin improved to 9%. The year prior, in the same quarter, it was 7%. So a nice improvement on gross margin. We also have an adjusted EBITDA of just almost at that neutral point where we want it, of negative 0.22 million. So a little less than negative $250,000 there for Q1 2023, where the same quarter last year, we had a negative 1.5 million adjusted EBITDA. So obviously our cost cutting procedures, we've made a massive improvement to our adjusted EBITDA. Our online portal, we've acquired approximately 3,800 unique users to the online portal. This was launched, as you know, in Q4 of last year, where we had about 2,500. So this is 52% growth over that, which is great, I think, considering the market and where the crypto sentiment was in Q1 of this year. I think that's amazing, and we're excited to continue expanding and growing that. And then lastly, as of right now, in that online portal, users can, of course, buy and sell Bitcoin in the fastest and safest way possible. But we've also added the ability to pay bills like credit cards and taxes. You can pay your common household bills, hydro bills, whatever, as well as buy gift cards right directly through the online portal. So really emphasizing the usability of Bitcoin, and excited to offer Canadians the ability to buy, sell, and use Bitcoin in the fastest and safest way possible. So with that, and some of the highlights out of the way, Julian, why don't you go ahead and take it away with some questions?
Awesome. So this dives in a little bit more into the actual full financial results in the balance sheet there, the financial overview. One of the questions I had was, there is a convertible debenture that you guys had in February of 2022, and there were some changes to the terms there, the conversion price, the interest rate, and I guess the length of the term was changed this quarter. Could you kind of explain the reasoning or rationale behind that?
Yeah, obviously. So when the convertible debenture was originally signed, we were hoping for it to be, it was really in order for it to be kind of more bridging into the next round of fundraising, kind of anticipating or maybe hoping for a bit of a market lift. That obviously has not been the case. I don't know that the crypto markets have recovered quite to the point where we've quite wanted them to, and so wanted to extend this term out. Truly, I think engage our time preference. We don't want to be too hasty. Obviously, debt is one of our largest cash sinks right now, and we want to remove as much debt as possible. That said, we also don't want to do it punitively dilutive. So kind of finding that balance between the two. We're super thankful to be on the road. They've been a great group to work with, and I think extending this term out gives us more optionality, more flexibility. It actually lowers the forced conversion rate. So rather than converting at 60 or forcing the conversion at 60 cents, it now forces the conversion at 50 cents, which means effectively, if we get the share price up to 50 cents for a period of 10 days consecutively, then all that debt goes away. And I think that's remarkable. That's the beautiful thing about convertible debt is as the market understands and realizes the success that we're seeing, the market can effectively get rid of this debt for us. So I'm happy with the way the instrument's laid out, and I think it's an appropriate move.
And then one of the things to note about this quarter, and I have to remember if it was quarter over quarter or if it was year over year, but OTC and personal services had a little bit of a drop.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something there in terms of like a shift in industry trends? Was there a particular reason behind that, or was it maybe just like a couple of concentrated clients?
No. So the business is kind of set up with a couple of different the couple of different business units, some that are affected more by the trends in the industry than others. Our Bitcoin ATMs are pretty stable cash flowing business unit, whereas, like you said, personal services, or now what we're calling Bitcoin Well Infinite, effectively our OTC trading desk, it fluctuates depending on the appetite for people wanting to buy Bitcoin in large sums. Unfortunately, our society buys high and sells low, and so the best ad for our Bitcoin Well Infinite service, or that business unit, is the price jumping, and then CNN or BNN or whomever talking about Bitcoin in that way. So we're not insulated in that business unit specifically, but as an organization, it's nice to have the stable cash flows from ATM, so that when Bitcoin Well Infinite, when the market, the Bitcoin cycle kind of repeats, which I think unanimously across the industry, we're all in agreement that it's coming, we're ready to scale up and hit that. We've adjusted our internal forecasts, and I think we know what's going to come out of the Infinite business unit for the next kind of quarter or two. And now it's just a matter of marching that down, continuing with our solid lead gen and customer acquisition, and making sure that when people are ready to buy large sums of Bitcoin, they're thinking of Bitcoin Well, because we're the most convenient and the safest way to buy Bitcoin.
And one of the moves that you guys made this year is that you expanded it into the US, obviously a much bigger market, and a market with quite a few, I would say, large competitors in it, right? You have kind of the run-of-the-mill exchanges that have their OTC services. You have stuff like Swan. How are you planning to take Bitcoin Infinite into the US? What kind of areas are you planning to kind of compete on, I guess, relative to the other people in the space right now?
Yeah, emphasizing education around self-custody by default. The majority of the players, while they allow for withdrawals, or most of them allow for withdrawals, it's not by default. And I think that's a flaw. I think that we don't give the average Joe enough credit that they're not ready to self-custody their Bitcoin. I firmly believe they are. We've got a team of dedicated Bitcoin specialists that are there to help the average Joe, so to speak, set up a Bitcoin wallet and truly understand what it means to self-custody Bitcoin, how to store it, how to set up the wallet, how to make sure it's safe, how to secure it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that education first approach and that self-custody by default approach is kind of a big differentiator, especially amidst the FTX collapse, the banking collapse. Custody of Bitcoin has never been a hotter topic, and we're ready to capitalize on that.
And so looking at your guys' finances, obviously shifting a little bit, you have the new portal that's probably structurally going to change the business quite a bit over the next few years. What is your biggest priority in the realm of finance? Is it kind of increasing margins, gross profit, aiming towards a positive EPS? What would you say is kind of your biggest goal right now on that front?
Yeah, I mean, obviously on the high level, marching towards this cash flow neutral position is where we want to be. We know, and I keep referencing it, but I wrote an article probably over a year ago about promises versus production, and how I believe that over the next decade, the entire stock market will be shifting from rewarding promises to rewarding production. And as an organization, we're walking that down, and we are absolutely marching towards becoming a cash flow positive producing organization. So at the high level, that's where it is. How that's going to happen is by finding the right balance between our cash flowing business units and our growth kind of scalable business units. We've got the Bitcoin ATMs and Bitcoin Well Infinite. Bitcoin Well Infinite, obviously a little bit more cyclical, but the fixed costs for Bitcoin Well Infinite are fairly negligible. So a nice scalable business unit there. The Bitcoin ATMs producing cash, really the main driver behind the cash flow in our organization. And then that high growth business unit, really creating a way for individuals to buy, sell, and use Bitcoin is kind of the differentiation there, with goals of, in the future, one day kind of charging a subscription for this entire ecosystem. We are a very unique organization where we've got Bitcoin ATMs, we've got a Bitcoin specialist to help you. We've got an online portal where you can buy Bitcoin non-custodially in the fastest way possible. And so having that full ecosystem lends itself really well to, rather than racing to the bottom on fees with our competitors, charging a subscription similar to what Costco would do, having a bunch of members that want to use the platform, want to have access to this ecosystem because it's faster, it's safer, and frankly, it's better.
And so, talk to me a little bit about ATMs. I know that you said that you recorded the single highest, per transaction volume, I think, or most transactions in a single month was in March 2023.
Yeah.
How do you kind of figure out the next machine to be deployed? Are you doing mostly outbound sales, or is there inbound? I know that you have a software and you have, I guess, like a different hardware partner that's maybe doing the work. Maybe you could explain to, I guess, early investors or investors here who are not quite sure, how do you expand the ATM business on your side?
Right now, it's expansion through efficiency internally. So we've got pretty rigorous standards for what a machine has to do each and every month in order for it to merit staying in location. Our biggest cost for a machine is rent. And so if it's not producing enough to maintain or up to our standards to merit the rent payment, then we move it into a new spot. And I think our ops team is pretty dialed in on that process right now. But the expansion through growth effectively happens through that partner program that you mentioned. Having Ghost ATM now brought in-house through the Ghost Lab acquisition gives us the ability to partner with other ATM providers where they can deploy machines. We can install software, and then we can revenue share the benefits from that. So we take on the operational headache, the compliance headache, the liquidity headache, and the customer support. And then they obviously take on the CapEx of the new machine, finding the location, the install, and the hardware maintenance. And it's a really great partnership because we're experts in selling Bitcoin. And of course, we own and operate 180 Bitcoin ATMs. But we've got now nearly 100 ATMs that we didn't actually have to pay for, that we are able to benefit from. And as well, the partners are able to benefit from selling Bitcoin where they previously couldn't. So it's a really nice, harmonious relationship. And expansion to the ATMs will be continuously, I think, through the partner program for the foreseeable future.
I think on that topic of working with partners, personally, as being someone in the Bitcoin space, traveling around a little bit, I've noticed that there has been a pretty big uptick in merchant adoption, not just in places like Latin America, but even in Canada and the US. Now you have, Lightning Network rolling out. Is there any potential of collaboration with, maybe point of service systems, something that could take advantage of maybe Bitcoin Well's liquidity and work towards actually getting more merchants using Bitcoin? Or is that something not really on the radar for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, when it becomes more popular, like really where we would come into play there is by allowing merchants to basically sell the Bitcoin that the customers are giving them and giving them CAD into their bank. And so
Exactly,
we're
yeah.
set up perfectly to this. Right now, we already help multiple different businesses add Bitcoin to their balance sheet, simply taking the Bitcoin that they, technically when you accept Bitcoin, you're bringing Bitcoin onto your balance sheet, and then simply taking that and giving them CAD. Yeah, easy and no problem. Right now, there's a much greater demand, I think, on the retail side. While I think there's some buzz around the Lightning Network and people are using Bitcoin natively more than they were last year, I don't think we're anywhere near the merchant adoption in the same scale as we are on like retail adoption, meaning individuals and people like you and I. And so where our attention's focused is on enabling those individuals to use Bitcoin before native Bitcoin adoption happens. So right now, for example, you pay for your groceries with your credit card. You can then immediately go and pay that credit card off with Bitcoin, or at the end of the month, pay that credit card with Bitcoin. So technically, you are able to live on Bitcoin. You're able to have your wealth self-custodied in Bitcoin, and then go to bitcoinwell.com and pay your bills with Bitcoin. So did you buy groceries natively with Bitcoin? No, you used Visa token and then swapped your Visa token for Bitcoin. And that's, I think, where the focus is. That, and of course, the accumulation with, upcoming Bitcoin savings plan and still faster, safer ways for individuals to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that's one of the services that you offer too, paying bills, taxes. You guys also do gift cards, and I realize like there are quite a few businesses in the space where that's almost their entire business is just selling gift cards. Is that like an area you see that you could significantly expand for revenue, or like how does that really work? Are you getting 1 or 2% markup on the gift cards?
Yeah, it's probably actually a little bit less than that. We do this through a partnership, and we earn a portion of the margin that the partner, like the technology provider, gives to us.
Okay.
The reason we went with this partner was because we are now able to sell gift cards in multiple different jurisdictions, where our technology provider handles the gift card delivery and the compliance. And that's massive for us because we don't have to go and get regulated in all these different jurisdictions. We can simply become a marketing engine for the portal through that. So that's a nice way, I think, to acquire customers in other countries. And as we gain steam in other countries, depending on where they are, that'll kind of designate and dictate where we should put our attention. Where are the retailers looking to use Bitcoin, or where's the retail market looking to use Bitcoin across the world? So I think, like, you're right, that is the whole business. It's a segment of our portal. You know, I think that just speaks to the ecosystem and kind of where we are. We're a pretty small, scrappy team. I think it's going to come down to the megaphone and how well we tell our story and how well we promote these services that we offer in order to kind of continue acquiring customers. We're competitive on every single product that we offer, and the experience is either faster, safer, cheaper, or all of the above compared to our competitors. So definitely excited to kind of, you know, we've spent the last 6 to 8 months building and then deploying and then replenishing this product, and now we're ready to really start driving it and pushing it and putting the foot on the gas for growth.
Awesome. And then, yeah, I guess final question on that note, what do you kind of have in store for the second quarter of kind of pushing your foot on the gas there? How are you planning on getting out, I guess maybe specifically the online portal, since that's a really fast growing segment? How are you planning on getting that out to more people?
Yeah, moving into the States is a huge piece to that. And so we're launching the US version of Bitcoin Well. Will be pretty Bitcoin Well Infinite focused, our OTC trading desk, where people will be able to sign up for an account, book an appointment, meet with a Bitcoin specialist one-on-one. You know, they'll get help with inputting their Bitcoin wallet address, connecting their bank, really true white glove personalized service with a relationship, a dedicated Bitcoin specialist to help them make those trades. But what we're then going to launch both in Canada and the US, and we'll be designing and developing that in Q2 here, is the Bitcoin Savings Plan. And that is a recurring buy, the sticky revenue of recurring payments, where users will be able to set a predetermined amount to be withdrawn from their bank and then basically convert it into Bitcoin and sent straight to their self-custody on a monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly basis. And then, of course, we'll be able to innovate on that as we launch. So I'm really excited to be designing and developing that this quarter. I've been told by my team that CEO time is a little bit different than real time, so I'm not ready, I don't think, to give an actual date for when Canadians and Americans will be able to access the Bitcoin Savings Plan. But I do think it's it's sooner than we think. We've been thinking about recurring buy for a long time, and I'm pretty excited to roll that out here. Hopefully in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Thanks, man.